Hello everyone and welcome to another Commander Tactics video. My name's Pope. With a new set on the horizon and many of you attending pre-release this weekend, here are our top Commander picks from Theros Beyond Death that you may want to be looking out for when you trade or buy. With enchantments at the forefront, White gets quite a few new pieces in their arsenal, including Heliod's Intervention and Shatter the Sky, as well as the amazing Idyllic Tutor reprint. For only X white, Heliod's Intervention has two options. We can either destroy X target artifacts and or enchantments, or we can make a target player gain twice life. I'm a huge fan of cards with multiple options on them. Shatter the Sky, a new Wrath for only 4 mana. For 2, a white and a white, each player who controls a creature with power 4 or greater gets to draw a card. Then we're going to destroy all creatures. And lastly, of course, the Idyllic Tutor reprint. Currently market priced at almost $30. This tutor is going to help us get whatever enchantment we might need out of our deck and put it straight into our hand. Next up in blue, we have Thassa Deep Dwelling, Thassa's Oracle, and Whirlwind Denial. Thassa Deep Dwelling going to be a Conjurer's Closet on a creature for less mana with an upside, so just really an all-around amazing enchantment creature for blue. And Thassa's Oracle, a new creature costing blue for a Merfolk Wizard. Whenever Thassa's Oracle enters the battlefield, we get to look at the top X cards of our library, where X is our devotion to blue. Put up to one of them on top of our library and the rest on the bottom in a random order. But if X is greater or equal to the number of cards in our library, you just win the game. So this new alternate win con that is very accessible in Commander decks, super powerful. Be prepared to see this in a lot of the Labman decks you're already familiar with. And Whirlwind Denial, a new Flusterstorm type counterspell. For each spell and ability your opponents control, counter it unless its owner pays 4 mana. This card is set to counter those Storm decks or any of those decks that are just looking to combo off with tons of abilities. And the best part is that this is only an uncommon, so it will be accessible for a very cheap price most likely. Next up in black, we have Woe Strider, Gravebreaker Lamia, and Minions Return. I will make a quick note here that I didn't add Grey Merchant of Asphodel, but it is definitely an extremely powerful card that works very well in Commander. But Woe Strider, a new creature, 2 and a black. Whenever it enters the battlefield, we create a goat token. But the real thing that makes this card so powerful is that it is a free sack outlet. Similar to Viscera Seer, sacrifice another creature and we get to scry 1. Free sack outlets are so strong in Commander, and Woe Strider is definitely going to help out those aristocrat decks even more. And to boot, it has escape, so we can always bring it back for 3, 2 black, and exile 4 cards from our graveyard. Gravebreaker Lamia, for 4 and a black, so a little expensive, we get an enchantment creature with lifelink. And whenever it enters the battlefield, we get to search our library for a card and put it into our graveyard. Then spells we cast from our graveyard cost 1 less to cast. So this is a creature with an entomb built in but for any card. And then if we're able to cast that card from our graveyard, it is even cheaper. You can definitely expect to see this card run in decks like Muldrotha or any of your zombie-based decks. And Minions Return, a new enchantment aura for 2 and a black. We can flash this in and enchant any creature on the board. Whenever the enchanted creature dies, we return that card to the battlefield under our control. So if the board is about to get wiped or we're about to destroy a creature of our opponents that we really want, we can flash this in and take control of it. While I'm not sure Minions Return fits in every deck, I do love that it is a permanent that will take over our creatures of our opponents. Next up in red, we have Purphoros, Bronze Blooded, Underworld Breach, and Storm's Wrath. Purphoros, legendary enchantment creature god for 4 and a red. It's got indestructible. As long as our devotion to red is less than 5, it isn't a creature. Gives all of our other creatures haste. And to boot, it's got a sneak attack built in for 2 and a red. New Purphoros is set to do a boatload of damage without our opponents even being ready for it. By being able to activate that sneak attack multiple times, we can flash in those creatures, swing out, and kill our opponents before they even know what's going on. Then we have Underworld Breach, which feels like the long-lost distant cousin to Past in Flames. Each non-land card in our graveyard is going to have escape. The escape cost is equal to its mana cost, and we have to exile 3 other cards in the graveyard. Recursion in red can be super strong, and I love that this only costs 1 and a red to play. And lastly, we have a new Wrath effect in red with Storm's Wrath. For 2 red, we get Storm's Wrath deals 4 damage to each creature and each planeswalker. I love that new board wipes are including the damage or the kills to the planeswalker. Coming in next in green, we have some extremely powerful spells with the Dryad of the Elysian Grove, Nylea's Intervention, and Nyx Bloom Ancient. Dryad of the Elysian Grove lets us play an additional land on each of our turns, which is already an incredibly powerful effect, but it also has lands you control are every basic land type in addition to their other types. Color fixing and color ramp on a creature Dryad is a bomb. Nylea's Intervention for X green, we get to choose one, again super strong when you have that flexibility. We can either search our library for up to X land cards, reveal them and put them into our hand, or deal twice X damage to each creature with flying. Now what makes Nylea's Intervention so strong in most decks will be the fact that we can search up any land, not just basic land. So we can go get those combo land pieces that we need, like Cabal Coffers, Urborg, or Field of the Dead, put them in our hand and play them the very next turns. And lastly, maybe the most insane card of the entire set, Nyx Bloom Ancient for 4 and triple green, so 7 mana we get an elemental creature with trample. But it says if we tap a permanent for mana, it produces 3 times as much of that mana instead. This is making our Soul Rings tap for 6, our Llanowar Elves tap for triple green. Just an insane amount of mana can be produced if we get Nyx Bloom on the field, and it can live for even 1 turn. Next, in our multicolor spells, we have Kunoros, Hound of Athreos, Uro, Titan of Nature's Wrath, and Kroxa, Titan of Death's Hunger. I don't know about you, but in most decks I build, I always have some sort of aspect that deals with graveyard hate, and Kunoros, Hound of Athreos, is going to provide that option in our Orzhov decks. Vigilance, Menace, Lifelink, 3/3 body for only 1, a white, and a black. Kunoros says creature cards and graveyards can't enter the battlefield, and players can't cast spells from the graveyards. While I don't think Kunoros can really be the best commander to build around, I love the flavor of this card, and I definitely will be adding it in to some of my decks. And then we have the 2 Elder Giants with Uro and Kroxa. Both of these creatures say whenever they enter the battlefield, we're going to sacrifice them unless they escaped. So in order for them to remain as permanents on the battlefield, we're going to have to cast them for their escape cost. But Uro says whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, we're going to gain 3 life, draw a card, and then we can put a land down from our hand onto the battlefield. Card draw, card ramp, and life gain for 1, a green, and a blue, all of which can be recurred for double green and double blue, and exiling 5 other cards from our graveyard. While I personally believe that Uro is the stronger of the 2, Kroxa for only 2 mana, a black and a red, says whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, each opponent is going to discard a card. Then each opponent who doesn't discard a non-land card this way loses 3 life. And of course, we can escape it for black, black, red, red, and exiling 5 other cards. I think the escape mechanic built into Commanders is something so unique that we could see some very new and interesting decks built around these 2 Titans. And rounding out our picks in the artifacts, we have Shadow Spear and Soul Guide Lantern. Shadow Spear for only 1 mana, we get this legendary artifact equipment that says equipped creature gets +1/+1, has trample, and has lifelink. We can then pay 1, permanents your opponent's control, lose hexproof and indestructible until the end of turn, and it only costs 2 to equip. I am not sure who designed this card, but all I can say is that my Sir Gwyn deck thanks you very much. And lastly, with the uncommon Soul Guide Lantern for only 1 mana, whenever it enters the battlefield, we get to exile a target card from a graveyard. We can then tap it and sacrifice it to exile all of our opponent's graveyard, or if we need card draw, we can pay 1, tap it, and sacrifice it to draw a card. Again, the ETB and flexibility of Soul Guide Lantern makes it fit perfectly into so many different archetypes. I can absolutely see this being run in many commander decks going forward. But that is going to conclude our picks for the top commander cards from Theros Beyond Death. The set looks extremely fun and unique with the escape mechanic and all the new enchantment creatures. Let us know down in the comments section below which commander you're excited to build around, maybe what cards we missed, what would you have added to the list. If you enjoy these type of videos or our deck techs, make sure you hit that like button to let us know, and of course subscribe to know when our next video comes out. Our deck techs come live every Friday. If you're a Twitter user, head on over there, drop us a follow at EDH Tactics. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and we'll see you for the next one.